Okay, so after all the fitting, all the welding, all the grinding, more welding, more grinding, a little more fitting, and more welding and more grinding, we finally come down to here. So, parts are hanging up, and we are ready to finally prime these. So, what I'm using is I use Eastwood epoxy primer. It's a direct to metal. All right, so you don't need an etching primer first. Etching primer is pretty expensive. If I use it out of a spray can. This particular project, because of the size of it, is going to be a little bit bigger than a spray can can do, or longer than I want to wait. So I'm using regular automotive products. After this, I'm going to be using Eastwood chassis paint. It's a 2K paint to put a finish coat on everything, and then that'll be that. So the great thing about this stuff is that it's a one-to-one activator. It's one-to-one with the activator. So even if you don't have a measuring cup like this, if you have go to the dollar store and buy measuring cups. Okay, so you bought 1 cup of product, 1 cup of activator. That's it. That's your one-to-one. Now, this is something I may put in my stuff you need to know, stuff you need to have. But when I get set up to paint, I like to have everything at my fingertips, whether or not they're clean. All right, so of course I have my products. Back here, I use a DeVilbiss D cup, they're called. All right, again, insert your own jokes. And it's a pretty neat system. You got this container, you got this sleeve, right? So the sleeve goes in the container. You mix your product, you pour it in here. This lid goes on, that lid goes on, and then the whole thing screws to the spray gun. So it makes cleanup really, really easy. It makes handling all this stuff really, really easy. As far as mixing, look, I shake it by hand, okay? I use a piece of scrap metal and stir. I don't like using wood because it always splinters, all right? And it absorbs product. Not that you're gonna miss a whole lot, but you get the point, okay? Plus, if you got any goop down on the bottom and you really gotta drug through it, this will hold and the wood may not. You can see this stuff's a little on the thick side. Now, we haven't put the activator in yet, but it's a little on the thick side. So, as far as my setup, like I said, I have my cups, sleeve, mixing cup, acetone in a bottle to clean up the paint gun. I have a little tiny funnel back there to put the acetone from there into there. Paper towels, hammer to close up the product, box of gloves, screwdriver, masking tape, and of course the gun. Now the holder that it's in, this is just a piece of scrap metal I was screwing around with when I was practicing TIG welding aluminum. And it just happens that 1 by 1 aluminum square tube holds that just fine. All right, so let's get on with it. Now this doesn't work all the time, but it works some of the time, all the time. So with the mixing cup, see here it says 1-to-1, right? So 1 part product, 1 part activator, 2 parts product, 2 part activator, 3, 4, 5, 5. Simple enough, right? So I really don't know how much I need, so I'm going to go to the 2 line here, and then well, hopefully that's enough. Now the great thing about this stuff is that 15 minutes after you spray it, it flashes off and you can recoat it. So I'm going to do 2 coats. So I'm not even going to bother cleaning the gun in between. Just going to leave everything sit and set my timer, come back, put a 2nd coat on, and then I'll clean the gun. Now the gun itself is a DeVilbiss starting line. It's got a 1.8 tip in it. For primers, I like a 1.8. And when I go to set the gun up, I'm actually going to have a pretty tight fan on it because we're dealing with, well, not a car. So I don't need a fan pattern this big for a part that's this big. Make sense? So, I'm going to go just above the 1 line because it looks like it's going to be a lot. Hey, could always mix more, right? Oh, and a garbage can. Let's keep a garbage can nearby. The other nice thing about this product, if you're familiar with body shop supplies, there's no induction time with this. So as soon as you mix it, you can spray it. And yeah, I go through a lot of acetone. Okay, so before I already wiped this down with wax and grease remover, I've given it about a half hour. So now I'm just going to set my regulator down to 25 psi. That ought to do it. Alright, so I'm going to give that about 15 minutes to flash off, mix up another batch, hit it again, and then time for breakfast. Okay, well, everything's painted. It's not a show quality paint, it doesn't have to be, everything's going to be hidden. The main thing is protection on here, and well, protection. So at this point I'm going to get this all broken down. Let's get the van back in here, get everything put back on the truck, and get this thing wrapped up. Alright, so first thing to go on is the main bumper assembly itself. Now, with the bumper in place, there's these two clamshells that go around the frame here. One comes from the inside, one goes from the outside. They're going to bolt to the back of the winch bumper. This inside one's a little tricky because I got to get past these hoses. If you bought the Van Compass one, well, you're going to be going through the same thing. So, you know, if that's what you did and you're watching this to see a video on how it's done, just be aware that you're going to have to fight that a little bit. So I'm going to wrestle this into place. Okay, so that's up there loosely. And this one here is going to go like that and use this hole. Now we're going to have to cut the bottom of the air filter housing to clear that, but again, the Van Compass one pretty much says the same thing. Alright, so with the bottom of the air filter housing out of the way, this piece is going to slide on there. And then we got some nuts and bolts that go in from the back side. Lock washer. Nut. And bolt the clamshells together. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do the other side, get all the nuts in from the front, and then we're ready for the winch. Now I'll be taking this apart to show you guys what all went on for this. So here's the front fascia. Alright, that's fitting into place. I've had a cut around the controller box and around one of the brackets for the push bar. So next step is I need to cut the hole for the fair lead. What I'm hoping is when I get done, I can get my hand in there and get the nut on that actually holds it. If not, I'm going to have to get creative. So just using a body saw, going to the outside of the metal, tracing it around. Alright, it's supposed to look something like that. Now I'll take a file, clean all this up, of course. But there you go. One big hole. Alright, so from the second that it's been since you've seen this, got the front end on, the power steering cooler is mounted, winch is mounted, rope is in. I didn't record all of that because it's kind of boring work, and honestly, well, you don't need to see me watch. You don't need to watch me wrestle a squid. So here's how this whole thing went together. The front end goes on. These reliefs are cut to go around here. This piece goes on. The winch has to be out. This gets bolted to the winch plate. Okay, remember I said at the very beginning, I didn't want to cut a big hole for the winch plate to come out. All I wanted was the fair lead. So we accomplished that. Then I had to have my wife pull this whole thing back so I could drop the winch in and then screw it in from underneath. All that's done, wiring's taken care of. It's wired, it works. We got the remote lead on here. And at this point, I'm starting to put the rest of the fascias back on. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm not going to keep recording because I got somebody else working here and they're grinding. It's just going to make you a very boring video. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and come back and sort of wrap this whole thing up. But I just wanted to give everybody an update as to how this whole thing went together. And again, if you bought the Van Compass winch mount, it will not work with a push bar. So you're going to have to cut apart that winch mount or make your own. That's why I'm going through all of this. All right. Okay. See you in a bit. All right, gang. There you go. How to build and install a winch bumper and push bar in 438 easy steps. Wasn't that a piece of cake? Yeah. All right. So seriously, yeah, there was a little bit more work in this than I originally wanted or thought there was going to be. But, you know, it ain't my first rodeo, so got through it without a problem. So let's take a look at everything that's going on here. You got a push bar from Black Rhino. The winch back here, attached to the winch bumper that I made. Like I said, you can get the one from Van Compass. It ain't going to work with this. All right, so if you come down here, we got these brackets that attach the push bar to the bumper to make sure that nothing gets out of line. If it takes a front impact, nothing here is moving. We got tabs here that are welded to the bumper. License plate is on there. Our rope's hooked up. Fair lead. Really cool set of LED lights. Everything just fits. When I tell you, if it was less than a 1/16 of an inch in most places, that's how tight it is in here. Wiring's all done. Watch this. Stay right there. So, you may be asking yourself, Lou, that's great, but how do you get in to engage the clutch? Well, you don't. We got this really neat wireless remote. So, from anywhere, do that, do that. So, that's a really nice touch with this. And the way that that's mounted, that isn't going to come out or go anyplace. Yeah, it's been a project. Has it been a fun project? Parts of it have, but you know, reality is customer got exactly what he wanted. So again, if you want to do this on your own, that's on you. If you want us to do it, which I suggest you have anybody do it other than you, you know, feel free to reach out to us. Social media, Facebook, Jersey Shore Fabricators LLC, Instagram, JS Fab LLC, and of course over here on YouTube. All right, gang. If you got any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below. If you got any negative comments, you know what? Leave them. I'll read them. I might delete them, I might not. Either way, it doesn't matter. We got this done. We're going to get paid out on it. Go get some ice cream. Until we see you next time, peace.